All right. Hello, this is Dave, Travels Through Time, and I'm with my friends Charlotte and Sadako. And we're going to talk about what is an endpoint for you for Doctor Who, in your opinion. We're going to talk about that on this stream today. That's the topic. All right, guys.
There's a follow-on topic as well, isn't there? What would you do if you were showrunner?
Yes.
Don't forget that. All right. Go on. I interrupted your
flow. So please hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on to watch more of our streams. So let's start with Charlotte and Sadako. What would you do? And then I'll jump to see what I think I would do as a showrunner and do things.
Oh, well, should we perhaps first talk about how this topic came up? Because I mean, seems to be more and more fans seem to feel this way, that the show's gone past the point where they enjoy it anymore. And it's like maybe the show would be better off if it ended at a certain high point.
Yeah.
Yeah, to sort of say the attitude that people have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, do you want to go first, Charlotte?
Yeah. Mine's the Doctor Falls, because I hate Twice Upon a Time, even though it's weird because you guys know, and people now know, I didn't grow up with classic, but even just watching Twice without a lot of knowledge of Hartnell, but obviously knowing enough, I can remember just watching that and just going, what are you doing to William? Can you stop making him out to be this sort of sexist dinosaur type? Which I was like, this isn't right.
So I hated that. I hated that.
Yeah, and the fact that it literally, the 12th Doctor was embarrassed and was constantly apologising, and I was just like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
Especially 12 at that point, he'd gone through his own arc about not being sure, so wouldn't that mean he would, if anything, be more comforting to the first Doctor? Mm-hmm. He would actually be sort of a nice guide and a bit of I know what it feels like not to be sure.
Right.
So I remember hating that, so I don't like Class Twice. So because I also thought, and I don't know what you guys thought, but in the Doctor Falls, I felt like for 3/4 of the episode he wasn't going to regenerate.
Oh.
And the reasoning was very strong with the whole I'm always fighting, I'm always losing people. Mm-hmm. Why do I have to be the one to always survive? Because he gave that lovely speech when he was actually looking on the battlefield and he made the comparison. Mm-hmm. He basically said, this is my life.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, and then I just felt like in the last 10 minutes, he was like, oh, I'll regenerate now.
Yeah.
So for me, I've always thought, because of the way the Doctor Falls was written, you could just have Capaldi just say, no, I'm not going to regenerate. Mm-hmm. And just sort of letting him... Because I also had a little canon stopping point in my head as well before the audio stuff came out. Which
hello,
is now
Daniel. Daniel's here.
Oh, hello, Daniel. Yeah, I also had a little canon ending in my head to do with the Doctor Falls until I was happy for the show to come back.
Yeah.
Which was basically... He doesn't choose to regenerate, so the body sort of dies, but the spirit is kept in the TARDIS. And the TARDIS becomes guardian of the Doctor's spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
And and it's waiting, and it's sort of the TARDIS is being kept alive and hidden somewhere with the soul until the TARDIS lets either find a body or creates a new body for the Doctor, and it puts the soul back in.
Yeah.
So that was sort of mine with the Dr. Falls and how I had the whole canon thing in my head. But this is my ending point in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sadako, what's yours then?
I've got two in mind. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you really well.
Oh, thank you. Well, for Classic Who, I think my perfect endpoint is probably the 5 Doctors. I feel like you got all the Doctors back, final challenge, the final... everyone gets the final, the final ride, the final goodbye, and it's a nice wrap up. It's a nice kind of good endpoint. 20 years and because I just feel like after that, what we got in season 21, 22, I feel like the show lost its innocence. I feel like I even feel like there's bits in season 21 which
Mhm.
bother me in the same way that that there are moments where I think the Doctor's characterization is as bad as Jodie's in that period. I think, and yeah, I mean, particularly Warriors of the Deep. I think that is almost a Jodie story. It is almost a preachy, cold, horrible, and it's just preaching nonsense. For me, that is the Jodie moment of Classic Who.
Yeah, it's kind of a surprise because it's written by the same one that wrote Keeper, right? Wasn't it the same author?
Yeah, but I think it was Johnny Byrne, but I think it was like he worked with Eric Saward. I think Eric Saward had to rewrite it.
Yes.
And he'd kind of put more emphasis on the preachiness.
Yeah.
I think it was nagged to do it by Ian Levine, and it just became this horrible. It just became more about the message than the entertainment. I feel like Doctor Who was entertainment, family entertainment up until that point, and then it tended to, like, Saward was trying to make it nastier, more adult.
I was going to say, you don't like the Fifth Doctor, do you, in that story? I've heard you say. I think that's a really undoctor-like sort of character.
Well, it's just these anti-common sense, I think, in that story. I mean, thing is, like in most stories, I do find Davison likable. In this story, I find him impossible to like. I find him reprehensible. I am disgusted that essentially in that story, all the humans end up taking a bullet for him, and he learns nothing from it. It is.
Yeah, he's very one-sided, isn't he, in that story?
Exactly, yeah, and that's why I hate it. That's why I feel it's almost a Jodie story.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And I just feel like after that, it just got worse and worse. You had the twin dilemma. You had the season 24. The way that the Perry gets killed, but gets treated in Mind Warp is horrible. I just think I'm surprised the show didn't get cancelled there and then. I cannot believe what happened to the show.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
And so that would be my end point for Classic, because I feel like, when I look back on the Classic stuff back in 2005, because like I was really excited again.
Yeah.
I'd seen, and I thought, wow, I started watching the Tom Baker stuff. I thought, wow, this is brilliant. I want to see more. I want to see more. And all of it held up. And then gradually, bit by bit, I started to revisit the stories that like Invasion of Time and thought, oh, this isn't so good. And then bless you, Charlotte.
Yeah, bless you.
Then Arc of Infinity was like, okay, this show isn't. Maybe the show carried on a bit too long.
Right.
And then, like Warriors of the Deep, I watched and thought, God, the show should have been cancelled sooner, kind of thing. So, as for I feel like it almost became too dogmatic in a way. It became too fan aimed to the point where it kind of lost its wider appeal. And I feel like, so as for New Who, like I feel like there's always been stories I've not liked. I didn't like Love and Monsters. But I feel like I was mostly behind it up until Matt Smith's departure.
Yeah,
I feel like that was probably time of the Doctor. That was probably where I would probably, close it maybe.
Yeah,
or maybe even quite early into Capaldi's era. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where would you end it in Capaldi's era? Because that's the contentious one. So where would you have your cutting off point?
Maybe listen. Right. Maybe listen. Probably listen.
Listen. Nice.
Yeah.
So what's yours, David, then?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say probably towards the end of Matt Smith.
Same as me, then.
Yeah, I think so.
So would you, because I know I've heard a few people say their cutting point is 50th. I've heard a few people throw that one around.
Right.
So what's yours, David, then?
Sorry about the echo. Sorry, that was my fault. It was an echo.
Oh, okay.
I clicked on the broadcast as it was showing live, so I think I got the delay. Sorry. So
that's okay. No worries. Yeah, so I would probably go with either Time of the Doctor or maybe Day of the Doctor as an endpoint.
Yeah, I think I need to at some point rewatch the 50th because I've got I've got a feeling I've forgotten half the actual story, so I need to actually rewatch that at some point just to see if it's as good as I remember.
Yeah.
Did you like Time of the Doctor much or not?
Oh no, I love Time because that was Matt's leaving one, wasn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because I'm terrible with titles. I can remember episodes, not titles as much. No, I really love Time because the thing I adored about Matt's Doctor was he was the young body that was like this old man inside. So the fact that they actually made him an old man, and the Doctor for once, which I also found quite interesting, that like with Tennant's Doctor, you almost got this feeling that the Doctor wanted to be domesticated almost for a bit, like he wanted that normal life.
Yeah.
And he never got it, Tennant, but Matt did at the end.
Yes.
So I quite liked it that the Doctor did sort of get that sort of, let's settle, let's have something to protect in one spot, let's not constantly be moving.
Yeah.
So I quite like that they gave that to Matt.
Yeah. But you would probably, you kind of stuck with the show with Capaldi more than we did, I suppose.
Well, I say I stuck with it. I sort of watched it on and off.
Oh, go on.
Well, because I'm never these type that I'll never not give a Doctor a chance. Right. Even if I'm got realish, that even if I'm nervous, I think you need to at least give every Doctor some sort of chance to watch them.
Sure.
And I remember and everybody was saying Peter Capaldi is like this amazing actor, because I didn't really know Peter from anything properly.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I just thought, and I didn't have the fact that he was old didn't bother me. It really didn't. So I was like, I'll give it a go. And then I've got to be honest, I did struggle with him in his first series just because I thought he was a bit too cold for me. I know some people really like that, but for me, it put me off.
It did for me as well. I felt like it was kind of, it was almost like, for me, felt like he was a petty stickler. And I felt like that's not the Doctor to me. To me, the Doctor is someone who's engaged in the, in being a hero. Whereas he felt like, he came off to me like he felt like it was almost an irritating chore to be the Doctor. And that's, that made me struggle to invest in him. And I just feel like they were a bit undecided about what his Doctor was going to be. So they just kind of gave him moments of just saying something inappropriate or cold. But I don't think they really, Yeah,
because I can remember, I think it was, I don't know which episode it was, but I remember there was an episode where I just was like, what are you doing, Stephen? Because the Doctor, for me, there's like key tenets to the character. And that's sort of, you can play in those, you can have different variants, but there's sort of key tenets. And for me, a key tenet is the Doctor will always try and save life, or he will be utterly devastated if he can't.
Yeah.
And I think even in Classic, from the bits I have seen, you can see some of that. Like, he's always going to, if there's a chance, he'll do it, and even if it's not going to work out, he'll try.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which episode it was in Peter's first series, but there was an episode where he said to a soldier, "Oh, you'll be fine. Go and do this thing."
Right.
I know the episode. I know the episode now. It was Into the Dalek.
Yes, and he said to one of the soldiers.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yes.
He said to one of the soldiers, "Oh, you'll be fine. Go and do this thing." I can't remember what it was off my head.
Yeah.
And then she got killed.
Yes.
And then he blatantly said, "Oh, I knew she was going to die, and I purposely sent her off." And I was like,
"Yeah."
The Doctor wouldn't purposely send somebody to the death as like a utility. It almost felt like a very utilitarian type of thing to do, and the Doctor, for me, should never do that.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Like he should never use people. It felt like he was using somebody then, and I was like, no, that's a master move, not a Doctor move.
Yes, very, very dark and cold. Yes.
Well, I mean,
so after that, I was just like, I think I just need to step away for a bit. Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matthew said Capaldi's Doctor needed more of what Pertwee had called moments of charm.
Mm.
And also, and like I said, I don't completely blame him because he had bleeding Clara with him. So I was just like, I don't like this Doctor, and Clara's a know-it-all who I want to hit. So I was like, what have I got to watch right now to keep me entertained?
I see.
Well, wouldn't you say, Sadako? Pertwee did have charm, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up on Pertwee. He was probably my Doctor.
Yeah.
He was definitely quite a warm Doctor and quite, like, I think he would be quite utilitarian in some ways. Like, there is a scene, for instance, in Planet of the Daleks where he thinks Joe is dead.
Right.
And he's got this tape recording of her last messages.
Mm-hmm.
He's been put in this cell. He's been captured by the Daleks and he's been put in a cell. And his tape recording is all that's left of her memory, as far as he knows. But like within a scene, he's like, "Look, she's gone. I'm just gonna have to make the best of it." So he starts dismantling the tape recorder itself and uses it as a weapon against the Dalek. And it's like, look, it is her last will and testament, but life has to go on. I've got to escape. I've got to do the pragmatic thing.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but you can be pragmatic. There's a difference between that, I would say, and what Capaldi was written as at times.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't pragmatic. It came across like mean-spirited almost.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the way I remember the scene, wasn't it a case where he was it was like it was a life or death situation for them all, and it was just, look, one of us is going to, it's either one of us dies or all of us dies, maybe. Do you think maybe that's what the scene was going for, where it was like, look, the Doctor has to make cold decisions now? Or did that just not work for you, would you say? Charlotte?
I've not seen that one, but from the Pertwee I did watch, because we watched the demons trying to get and what I did quite like, actually, if we make the comparison, because I knew Capaldi modelled himself with Pertwee, so it was interesting to watch Pertwee, actually, because I did see some of the little mannerisms.
Yeah.
And the thing that I quite liked about Pertwee, just from the one I have seen, is with Joe, he wouldn't say, it was like Pertwee's Doctor, and you can tell me if I've got the right reading, even from what I've seen, he shows little things in his actions to show he cares. He won't say anything, and it's not like he'll make big speeches about caring about Joe.
Yeah.
But it's the little like mannerisms he does, or the fact that he'll sort of say like, "Okay, dear," and like there's little things that even I picked up. I was like, "Oh, that shows he really cares about Joe."
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the Doctor works like that when they don't have to make a massive speech. They can just do an action or a simple sort of putting something first for a companion or doing something for a companion that you go, see, he doesn't have to say he cares, he just has to show it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've not seen The Green Death, have you, yet?
No, I know it by reference, because everybody references it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's quite interesting in terms of how the Doctor and Joe say goodbye and how you see it affect the Doctor at the end.
Yes. That's a classic. Yes.
Yeah. So,
and I think because the Doctor is an alien at the end of the day, so he wouldn't show emotions like us, would he?
I suppose not.
It depends.
I mean, the thing about the Doctor is that each incarnation is different to the others. So there'll be some incarnations where he's more adept at showing it than others, and I feel like maybe in a way that's how you explain why Tennant and Eccleston were kind of more emotional Doctors than the classic Doctors, was because they were the in a way kind of maybe regeneration reorganized the neural pathways so that more of the emotion came out, or because of the trauma of what they've been through. The kind of, so I suppose in a way it's like he's alien, but it's like in some ways some incarnations of him are alien to each other, kind of thing. Like there's very few Doctors like the Sixth. Like the Sixth Doctor is one who makes the other incarnations look human, and him looks like the alien.
Right.
I mean, like, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think like because I started with Eccleston, and I quite liked how even as a kid you could get that sort of he was still suffering from the Time War.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that the fact that he was cold and he was offish and he would do certain things that other Doctors would probably go, no, that's too far. But you understood because of Time War. Whereas with Peter's Doctor, I was like, it almost felt like a regression.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
with this sort of first series.
Because like he'd saved Gallifrey after all, and so it seems strange that he was going back to being Eccleston's. Colder than Eccleston even.
Yeah. I remember. I was just thinking. I was like, you've gone through so much at this point.
Yeah.
And then, but at least, so I sort of watched what I could of Series 8, and then I was like, I'll just duck out. So I hardly watched any of Series 9.
Yeah.
Matthew Pounder says his cutoff point was season 9. He said it couldn't stand Capaldi's preachy run of stories. Was that your take? Did you watch Series 9?
I like I said, I've got a really bad memory. I probably did, but I can't recall anything to mind right now.
Let me suggest a few stories to you. The Doctor and Missy and Clara are drawn to Skaro to meet Davros, and there's a bit where Clara ends up in a Dalek. Like
Yes,
she
I think I did watch that because I remember.
Yeah.
I quite like Missy in that episode.
Did you feel like she how did you feel about, was that a gradual thing? Did you were you a bit funny about Missy at first, and then in that episode you kind of warmed to her maybe?
I didn't like what they first did with Missy, where it was like now she fancies the Doctor.
Yeah.
'Cause I was like, I'm sorry, just because she's a woman, she wouldn't go from absolutely hating his guts.
Yeah.
Especially after John Sim at that point.
Yeah.
If you think about basically how much that incarnation basically tortured Ten and like kept him in a cage and everything. So it's like he hates the Doctor's guts, this version, and now suddenly because gender swap, I assume it's like I'm making an army for you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna like flirt and try and kiss you almost. I remember thinking that I don't understand this, but I remember liking her the less they did that.
Yeah.
And the more they just did, no, she's just absolutely batty.
Yeah.
I did like the bit where at the kind of Clara and Missy are kind of peering at that hole they have to go through. It's like how deep would you say that hole is? Like, I'm just looking. She kind of slaps it. She falls down. Ah! Like,
yeah, but thing, I couldn't stand Clara, so I was like, yes, Missy, go.
Yes.
That's probably why I like. Like I said, I like Missy in that episode. and I do think that was a very clever ploy she did. That basically she's like, "Hello, Doctor, I've made you companion a Dalek."
Yes.
It's like, how would that's a horrible situation to be sort of face for the Doctor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you sort of had that. Moffat, he can be very witty and funny, but sometimes it felt like the more you got into Peter's run, the more he was forcing a bit of the humour. I don't know if you guys felt that.
Yeah. A little bit, yes.
And because here's my thing, like, because I feel like they're sort of doing this to Jodie a bit. It's like ever since Matt, they're trying to make Matt humour for all the other Doctors after him, and it's like, don't. Matt's his own being. Only he can do that type of humour.
Yeah.
Sort of very slapsticky, physical, sort of goofy humour. That's 11. Don't try and put that onto other Doctors.
Yeah.
Especially with Peter, considering he's a very serious actor. He's got this air of sort of like Peter's got that air of just you don't mess with him.
Yeah.
He's be doing cracking jokes sometimes. I was just like, can you Moffat stop?
Before I saw Peter in Doctor Who, I'd seen him as one of the dads in Skins. He plays the dad to one of this rather geeky kid called Sid, and he's always giving his Sid a hard time. Like, and he's kind of like, right, you're gonna do your homework, and like he takes his TV, no stereo, and then he finds his porn collection. It's like no Asian fanny fun kind of thing, and then he kind of walks, and then he stumbles out, and then you hear like him tripping. It's like because he's carrying the TV and stereo and everything, and then you hear the mum say, "What's that?" It's like, "I've fallen down the stairs, you silly cow."
No, but that's the thing. If you want to do comedy with Peter, I think the best thing is like very sort of not as obviously as strong as the thick of it got, but Peter needs that sort of almost in your face sort of abrasive humour.
Yeah.
And I think if they would have done that with his Doctor, it would have worked more than trying to make him be Matt sometimes.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
Because it's I'm trying to think, like, he did have some funny lines, and it was when he was just being abrasive, and that's when the abrasive Doctor worked.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like a Colin situation where it was egotistical. It was just, you could tell he was like, I just don't like to mess about. I'll say to your face what I feel type of Doctor.
Yeah. Oh, there's a clip someone's done editing a bit of the thick of it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
with Chibnall's face in Grafted On. It's like, you are a boring fuck. Sorry. I know you can't stand language. You are a boring F star. See you next Tuesday, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's like, why didn't Moffat lean into that? Like, Peter was famous for thick of it at that point. You should have, obviously not the swearing level, but you could have done a bit of the sort of a Malcolm Tucker, I don't care if you like me sort of personality when it came to the humour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did actually up the language a bit, didn't he? Like there were certain stories where like you'd see Missy saying, tell the Daleks the bitch is back. And like, oh, someone's like up
Yeah,
to
but she was a bit of one, wasn't she?
She was. Oh, she was a mega bitch.
Yep.
Because how did you feel then about the whole redemption sort of arc they did with her? Because I know that's something that some people have gone, I really don't like.
I didn't see it, sadly. I'm the opposite of you. I kind of tuned out after series 9. So
yeah, I watched series 10 in full because I knew it was Peter's last.
Yeah. So would you say you'd warmed to Peter by then?
I think here's the thing that I'll always say about Peter's Doctor. He's the one that I can watch speeches of, probably more than some of the others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll go and rewatch clips of his speeches.
Yeah.
Because he's just a power, like a force of nature, when you allow Peter, without the stupid virtue signaling, without the politics, without Clara going in his ear.
Yeah.
Just let Peter have a script and just let him go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Breathtaking.
Yes.
It's like with all the madness that was going on, like still going on, but when it was a bit, when all the let's cancel all the movies was happening and all the people were sort of going after all the old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do you know what instantly came to my head?
What?
Tell me.
Zygon inversion speech.
Oh yeah.
Think about what the Doctor's saying in that speech.
Yes.
He's talking about the
kids. You don't know what you want.
Yeah.
And when you have this brave new world, what are you going to do?
It's because they're trying to create utopia, aren't they, for themselves, but ruin it for the rest of us.
Yeah, and the Doctor's basically saying a revolution's brilliant when you're in it, but what are you going to do once you've got your win or your victory?
Yes.
Yeah.
What I love the line when he says to obviously it's fake Clara, what are you going to do with the people like you?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, as soon as like I said, the Gone with the Wind thing was happening and all that, I just instantly thought of that speech because I was like, that's what's happening now. We've got crazy people trying to cancel the past because they think it's some sort of revolution they're going through right now.
Yes, so true.
They really are insane. Like, I mean, just without wanting to get into politics, like I've sworn off the left completely now because I just think, no, they're insane. I feel.
Well, they've become what they hate, haven't they? And that's also what that speech sort of says. Like,
exactly, yeah.
Be careful because you can become the thing you're fighting against.
Yeah. So you would say those are the gems that make his era worth keeping.
Yeah, and where I stand is where I stand is where I fall.
Mm-hmm.
That is heartbreaking, that speech.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, there's certain tenets to the Doctor, and I think that speech hits quite a few of them when he says it's not about winning, it's just about doing what's right. And I'm sorry, if I had to condense the Doctor into a line, it's that line.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Daniel had a favourite moment in Capaldi's run. I cheered when the Raven killed Clara in the face of Raven. I hate Clara.
Oh, me and him absolutely despise Clara, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. I would say Peter was very hit and miss with his run, but you will have some amazing Doctor moments.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I don't want to cut it off, even though, yes, it was very ropey at times.
Do you feel like in a way it's almost like with you, he should have got more because you feel like his era was cut too short as it was almost.
Yeah, I think because if you would have had one more series with like a series 10 sort of template Doctor,
yes,
where they sort of nicely Because I think him and Bill were really good fun. I would have liked another series of him and Bill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I think Bill was the sort of companion he needed, because she could pull him up, but she wasn't like a Clara that was constantly having a go at him.
Mm.
And I think he really enjoyed having that sort of innocence that Bill had.
Yeah.
Because obviously Clara, because of the whole convoluted plot, she sort of wasn't a typical companion, and that meant she sort of wasn't the whole alien aspect.
Yeah.
She wasn't new to it. It was just sort of, oh no, I'm going to this adventure now, and it was sort of became blasé, I think, a bit with Clara.
See, I have a theory about what happened with Clara in the writing. It's that I think Moffat got a lot of criticism for the first season, Clara, where she was kind of a mystery. She was a bit undefined.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone was saying, look, Clara doesn't have a personality. So Moffat's like, well, what is a personality? And he kind of just stumbles on, she's a control freak. And it's almost like he spent the whole of Series 8 retro-engineering her character to be just this completely unhinged tyrant.
She was a control freak.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a particular line when I said she's almost become the Doctor's abusive carer or something.
Yes.
Well, she has that line when she says, I'll slap you until you regenerate. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a nice line for a companion to say, isn't it?
Yeah, wasn't she saying something about testosterone or something too one time?
Oh, she had a few little, as I refer to it, standard sort of N-word, I won't say it on the stream moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Moffat sort of, I think the problem was he got a lot of flack for Amy.
Yes.
Because she was a bit sexualized at the beginning.
I had no problem with that.
Oh no, I don't think
No.
it was, and I don't think it was like. I mean, if you think about Amy, that was only really the first couple of episodes, but I think people sort of jumped on him for that.
Yeah.
So Clara was like, "Let's go too much the other way."
Yeah, at first in Innocence, and then in kind of she became this ultra feminist after that, didn't she? In series 8.
Oh yeah, especially like you had that, as I refer to it, the smug fest of her and what's her name from Game of Thrones together, both being like, "We're women," and I was just like, no, you. I don't even like Game. I've never watched Game of Thrones, but from what I've been told, you're just playing that same character again, love.
Mm-hmm.
And Clara, and I was just like,
yeah.
So, oh yeah, I think Moffat got too many people in his head, didn't he? Was the way I think of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the really bad sign that that Moffat was kind of pandering to the feminists was. Do you watch Sherlock at all?
Yes, from my sins near the end.
You know what episode I'm going to mention, don't you?
Which one? Near the end, they sort of merge in my head because I just sort of hated a lot of them.
Right, it was the one. It was after the finale of series 3, where they got this like this meme had turned up everywhere of Moriarty, you know, saying "miss me," like, and thought,
when they did that stupid "he might be alive again" thing.
Yes, exactly, and so basically, Sherlock ended up like hitting himself up on drugs and entering this fantasy of trying to solve this old unsolved murder from the Victorian.
Oh no, I did watch that one, and it was a nice idea, but it was stupid.
Yeah, that's the thing. It started quite well. I was behind it for much of it, and then they revealed that the villains, and you saw all the suffragettes come to the fore, and Sherlock gives a speech about how us men are wrong, and you know, and it's all the microaggressions that made the women go on a killing spree. And it's just like, I remember Wizard of Course said this brilliantly. He said it stopped being a Sherlock episode and it turned into a bloody BuzzFeed article.
Yeah, Moffat. I've sort of joked. Moffat is good when he has somebody behind him with a paper to hit him on the head to say, "No, let's think about this, Stephen."
But the thing is, I think he did have someone behind him hitting on the head to say that, and it was the feminists.
Yeah, the wrong kind of person then.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I think, which is a shame because I do think Peter, if he would have had Moffat at his best, we
Yeah.
could have got somebody to rival Tennant when it came to popularity.
Because
But I do quite love now. I think he's getting a lot of love he should have got during his run.
you feel like with him, it was like someone said this to me. It's like even though like the ratings went down, there was like his performance was so good that the word of mouth probably would have got people to say, you know what, I'm going to tune in to see how good he is. And I think word of mouth got people to check him out as an actor and say, oh my god, this guy is brilliant.
Yes.
Like I said, when they just let him do his thing.
Yes.
So I remember I was watching it was a while ago now, but this just crystallized me how good Peter was. Do you know Friday Night Tights?
No, sorry.
It's a stream Gary from the Rotic does, and he has panels on, and they were just talking, and he brought up Who because obviously he's a massive Who fan.
Yes.
And he was saying, "Oh, that was it." He said, "I'm doing a video, and I'm putting in a speech." And Az was on with him, and he goes, "Oh, you're doing a Zygon speech?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to put it at the beginning of my video." And I said, "Just play it on stream." And everybody went, "Yeah, just put it on, Gary." I think there was literally out of 6 people, only 2 of them were Doctor Who fans. And he put that speech on, and nobody spoke.
Oh wow, yeah.
It was just utter silence. Everybody just watched it, and afterwards went, "Wow, he's a really good actor, isn't he?"
Yeah, very.
And they didn't know who, they didn't know what that scene was about. They just literally watched him do the speech.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the power we had as Peter when he was the Doctor.
Yeah. What other things would you say make his era a keeper for you, or is that the main thing?
Yeah, it's mainly just that in the shining moments he had as the Doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say it's mainly season 10. You feel like that was a good series 10, rather that was kind of a good final run.
Yeah, I think they finally balanced out the sort of bit of grouchiness with the kindness and the sort of professor role he had with Bill, which was always. I think they should have done that from the beginning. Honestly, with him, they should have done the sort of classic, like some of the classic Doctors were sort of professors to the companions, like a sort of Sylvester and Ace sort of thing. They should have done that more from the beginning, not the sort of cold, detached Doctor with Clara.
Yeah. So Matthew Pounder says, Matthew Pounder says, I get the impression Moffat fancied Jenna Coleman. He seemed to be fawning over her in the writing.
Yeah.
Daniel Leach says Clara was the warning sign of what was to come.
Yes.
Especially with the sort of doing so many horrible things and never having any repercussions for it.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
It's like she gets Danny killed, and it's like, what are the repercussions for her?
No, I mean, did she get Danny killed? Do you think? She was speaking to him on the phone when he walked into the road.
Yeah, they were having a massive row, weren't they? Though, and like she'd broken up with him or something. Unless I've got that wrong. Like I said, my memory's not amazing, so maybe I've made that bit up.
I think what it was is she was leading that double life, and Danny wanted her to stay kind of in the relationship with her, and she wanted to do a life with the Doctor. And she said to him, "Look, you need to tell me you love me, so I know you can commit to me." And he kept nagging on the phone, and I think he did walk into the road. It was a bit strange, really, how he just died. But he just kind of walked to the road. Next thing you knew, someone else was on the phone saying, "I'm sorry, whoever you're speaking to, he's been hit by a car."
Yeah, because did you guys watch The Caretaker?
Yes, yeah, we did.
Did you guys not understand the whole weird jealous angle they tried with the Doctor and Clara? Because I remember watching that at the time and going, "Why is he acting like a kid and being jealous?"
Yeah, I didn't get that either. It was just silly, I thought.
Yeah.
Like, and they even had, you remember the other teacher who basically dressed was a carbon copy of Matt?
Yes, the bow tie and everything. Yes, the hairstyle. Yes.
Yeah.
And he like, it was a funny scene because of Peter's acting, and like the 12 had like a proper smirk on his face, and I was like, why would you want her to go out with your previous? Like, that's creepy if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I think Moffat, like I said, I don't know what he was thinking sometimes.
Matthew Pounder says that episode was really grim, especially for a family show. I think it means Death in Heaven and Dark Water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
See, I'd probably stopped watching at that point, but I'd heard about the whole making Cybermen from dead people plot, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because to be fair, I didn't click what that Missy was master. I will admit that when they were doing the teases of like little moments, I was like, who is this woman?
Charlotte, did you have a theory who she might be before the reveal?
No. I was just like, who is this like weirdo woman who's just appearing as like a little cliff like thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
David, did you have a theory?
Yeah, it's a crazy theory, but I was actually thinking I knew they wouldn't be that. I knew they wouldn't go that route, but I was thinking maybe the Ronnie, but I just had a feeling that wasn't going to be true.
Right. My theory is I thought that she was actually going to turn out to be one of Clara's splinters, who'd grown old and disillusioned.
See, that would have been more clever.
Yes.
Because they sort of, in a typical Moffat fashion, he did that whole, she's splintered, and then it never got mentioned after the reveal.
I know, yeah.
Because I quite liked Victorian Clara. I've always said they should have kept that one. I would have liked that one.
Yeah. Yeah, she was good.
My gripe with the current run is they're all 21st century, like, pretty girls.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas I knew from Classic that there'd been a lot more variety in companions, so I was a bit like, by the time we got to Peter, I was like, would it not be bad if we had, like, a male companion, like, full on?
Yeah.
Not a boyfriend or somebody who's there for a bit and then disappears.
Yeah.
Just in case, I'll send you.
Would be nice.
Because I do think that, because you could have almost had, like, a Watson and Holmes dynamic, which I think could have been interesting.
Yeah, you want me to send you the link?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that'd be good.
And you wouldn't have this romance that they sort of they wouldn't do romance for a bit and then they'd bring it back for a bit and it was just like, can we not do that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Because do you think 11 fancied Clara? I did.
A little bit. I mean, I think
yes.
I think he
Definitely.
Yeah, I think he fancied her. I think it was like he was intrigued by her. Like she was kind of, I don't know. I would have liked more of that kind of this element of him of, I've lost her twice. I want to make sure I found her again. I can't let her be lost again, kind of thing.
Yes.
I would like that to come out more with Matt Smith and Clara. Whereas I feel like a lot of it was kind of more about, they focused a bit too much on the idea that it was a scientific curiosity to him, which I wasn't. I felt like,
See, but that I suppose you could say for the Doctor, like he would be very intrigued.
Yeah.
So at least it sort of made sense for the character. But like I said, bits of it came across a little bit like, because I remember seeing that actually this probably is one of the reasons I hated Clara. Do you remember in Peter's first episode? I remember really disliking her from that episode more because I was like, every companion before you has gone through a Doctor changing a face.
Yeah.
And they were okay with it. And they didn't know half the stuff you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're the one freaking out and basically saying, no, he's not my doctor anymore.
Right. And then she needed to get that phone call from Matt's doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you remember the scene with her and Madame Vespera?
Yeah.
Where I loved it, Matt from Vesper's side, because she basically said to her, he wasn't young for you. He wasn't your boyfriend, love. Like, you need to get over it.
Like, I think with Rose, and when she first meets Tennant after he's regenerated, if you've seen the Children Need small bit, the bit that was like precedes the Christmas Invasion. The bit
I've seen it once. Oh, sorry, I've seen it once.
Yeah, it's like there's a bit in there where I think they get it right where Rose is like, I don't recognize you, I don't trust you, and like there's just this little bit. She gives us this little shove but it's like it's full of menace of you're not fooling me, and then gradually she says, like she reminds her, he reminds her, and then she trusts him, and that was like I remember Blue Bonnet saying that she'd only seen the Christmas Invasion, she hadn't seen that bit,
Right.
and I felt like if you need to see that bit in order to kind of understand how they kind of bond, kind of thing. But like. And with Clara though, I feel like, I think Jennifer Coleman is a bit kind of shrewd in how she plays it. I feel like she's kind of playing a little bit against the script, where the anger is mainly coming from the fact that he's infirm and he's not recognizing her. He's got amnesia. He's confused. Right. She's like, her anger comes from feeling helpless that she can't connect with him like she used to. And she knows every time she tries, nothing happens, kind of thing. I would have liked that to be the emphasis, and I feel like in the performance it was, but like as scripted, she does indeed come across like a fangirl who can't let go of Matt.
Yeah, and like I was somebody that was heartbroken when Matt went. But even I was like, "Come on, love, it's still the Doctor."
Yeah.
And for God's sake, you've been in his time stream.
Yes, I know.
You literally saw every version of him.
Yeah.
From like William Hartnell, where he was a proper old man, and now it's like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do love the moment that Peter acts when he does the whole "I want you to see me" line. I think that's a lovely little line.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I feel like I said, I just felt like with Clara in that moment, like, he needs you. He's blatantly saying now he needs you, and that was what the phone call was about. But you're still sort of acting like you don't trust him.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know, like I said, if maybe it was the way he was acting, and she was just like, he's so different, but...
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both, because he did abandon her in the when they were running away, didn't he? Like in
Deep Breath.
Yeah. Like he kind of left her by herself, and she had to kind of hold her breath and kind of try to avoid.
Oh yeah, and the whole hand when he did grab a hand, but it was like afterwards, wasn't it?
Yeah, that bit.
No, I just like I said, Clara, she probably was good like the first draft, and then Moffat just went crazy. I get that feeling with Clara. Like she probably was a good core idea for a companion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I quite like Bill, because she was refreshing. She was very like, I want to go on an adventure. I want to explore the universe type.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good base for a companion, and then obviously you can build off that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of I suppose that takes us up to the current era, and so I mean it's a question of how strongly we feel about the current era in terms of why we strike it off. See, my thing is, I feel like the current era, for me, it only really became unsalvageable to me in Series 12. I feel like Series 11 wasn't great. Well, it wasn't good.
No.
But it was like I feel like if the show had ended there, you could have picked it up at a later date. I think the show itself was still salvageable, if you know what I mean. And now the Timeless Children's happened, and now it's not salvageable. Well, not that salvageable.
Yeah, not that.
Yeah, I see. My Timeless Children is a massive thing, but I said before on other streams, and this is more personal to me. It's more how they've written Jodie.
Yeah.
That's the bigger emotional thing that gets me.
Yeah.
Because the Timeless Child is so ridiculous, I can just say, yep, I don't count that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas I can't stand what they've done to the Doctor in Jodie writing combined with her performance, which is what makes me go, yeah, this doesn't count.
What was the first of those moments for you, would you say?
I'm trying to And I know there was a big one, but I'm trying to think if there's one before this.
Okay.
It was the finale, so I'm trying to think there probably was something before the finale that I just went, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh no, I remember it was the way she dealt with the spiders.
Yeah.
That was a big first one because that was a proper moment of I think I'm in the right and I'm sanctimonious, but I'm like, no, love, you've left them to starve to death. That's like the most cruel thing you could have done.
Yeah.
Like, and you had to go at the guy that shot the
Yeah.
because in that scene, like, they didn't play down that the massive spider was like struggling to breathe and was in pain.
Yeah.
And I was like, so him coming in and shooting it, literally putting it out of its misery, and then she turned around and had a massive go at him.
Yeah.
The Trumper-like. And I was just like,
Yeah.
the doctor would understand that a life is precious, but a life in pain, if it can be stopped, should be stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree completely. Yes.
And then, of course, the way I'm trying to think. And then I think the big one was how she treated Graham in the series 11 finale.
Yeah. So I never saw that one. So, but I think I know what happened.
Yeah.
It was basically Graham. It was revealed that Tim Shaw had come back and he wasn't dead. And Tim Shaw obviously was responsible for Grace dying in the first episode.
Yeah.
And his obvious and very human reaction was, okay, he's not dead, I'm going to kill him because he's responsible for Grace.
Yeah.
And then for the doctor to turn around in a very sort of uppity and better than you type of speech and to finish it off with, well, if you kill him, you're not traveling with me.
Yeah.
And I remember, I won't say the word, but out loud I shouted a not very nice word about the doctor.
Right. Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry. If there's one thing this character should understand, it's grief.
Yes.
If there's one emotion this character has had to deal with and sort of had to work through, it's losing something or someone precious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, what was the nickname of the doctor? The oncoming storm.
Yeah.
What does the doctor do every time they see a Dalek? They go ballistic.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me the doctor is going to condemn Graham?
Yeah.
When also they met when he was in the cancer ward, him and Grace.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they met in a very heightened emotional fashion, you could argue.
Yeah.
And it was literally the first episode. He did the speech at the funeral about that.
Mm-hmm. And she was there.
And I was like, I'm sorry, am I in another universe? Has the doctor literally just done that?
Charlotte, can I ask you this word that you almost shouted out the screen? Am I on the right line if I say it involved the word, it was a variation of "see you next Tuesday"?
No.
It
was a term that's not very nice to females.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Do rappers use it a lot?
Yeah.
Okay, I know what it is now.
And like I said, it was just because I was just like, you've been a little bit off and unfeeling anyway, but I could sort of go, okay, the doctor can be like that.
Yeah.
But no doctor, in my mind, would hear Graham say that and have that response.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the whole excuse with the whole socially awkward crap, too.
Wait. Do you feel like maybe a past doctor would be like, I can't condone what you're doing? Would they be kind of compassionate, but I can't condone you doing that, maybe? Whereas she was just immediately shut the idea down without even considering how he felt. Do you feel?
I've always said if I was writing that, I would do basically something along the lines of, I've lost so much before. I felt this anger, and you think it's going to make it better. and I know that you think this is going to fix it, but it's not. Trust me. So
that would.
You're not going to do any good by doing this. Just think this through.
Yeah.
Basically, something along those lines.
That would have been much better. It's like I said, Charlotte, why aren't you writing this show? It'd be so much better if you were.
No, it is, and I think that's the core thing with both Chibnall and her. They just don't understand this character.
Yeah.
That's my major gripe, and why I can just say this doesn't count because it's not the Doctor on the screen. It's this weird thing calling itself the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand where. I feel like maybe he got all his worst Chibnall got all his worst impressions of the Doctor from a lot of the 80s stories I don't like. But he's like magnified it into just being. That's all the Doctor is now. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, and it's because here's the thing: the Doctor should never be 100% goody two shoes, and I would never say that. And I think because I think some people who hear sort of arguments similar to mine have sort of said, "Oh, so the Doctor should always be good," and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
The Doctor's grey.
Do you feel like that maybe the problem is in some ways there are fans who do want him to be perfect and a goody two shoes, and Chibnall's trying to write her as that, but like, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I don't know what you guys think, obviously, because you had the more classic, but I think the modern run has sort of deified the Doctor too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky because I actually saw the classic stuff in the late 90s when I was a kid because I saw it on PBS. But if I hadn't, I probably would have just started with New Who probably as well.
Sorry, so I didn't catch that last bit.
Well, I was just saying I caught it in the late 90s when I was a little kid because I watched it on PBS. But if I hadn't watched it then, I would have been on New Who is where I would have started.
Yeah. And how do you think that would have changed how you view it?
I don't know if it would have changed it because I still would have watched the old stuff, obviously. I would have still been interested, I think. I don't know.
All right.
I think the problem is because I was reading somebody actually wrote about this, and he basically argued that in the new run, the Doctor's basically the hero, like he's the action sort of packed hero character, whereas in classic he was never that type of character. That how did he word it? That basically in classic the Doctor, if something came across his way he could help, he would help, but he wouldn't go looking to be the hero.
Yeah, I mean, I think
knew who he has was the argument this guy was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of both. Really, I feel like he could in classic Who he could be one or the other, but I think with in classic Who was the understanding that look, the universe isn't a fair place. There's a lot of injustice, and it's like he just does what he can to hold the tide back, if you know what I mean. And it's like
so be sort of a force for good as much as he could.
Yeah,
but in a kind of quite chess master kind of long game kind of way. Like he doesn't deal with the Daleks right away. He kind of. Have you seen? You've not seen Remember to the Daleks yet, have you?
No.
Dr. Blancy's number.
All right. Okay.
I love that one.
Right. You see, the thing is, up until that point, like the Doctor's had several run-ins with the Daleks, and so basically, but the point is, like at that point, the Doctor's kind of like the Daleks have been around as a. Ooh, I'm hearing a lot of background noise at the moment, Dave. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, basically, there's been a bit of an arc leading up to Remembrance of the Daleks, where the Doctor he goes back in time to in Genesis of the Daleks. He's given the mission to just finish the Daleks off at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he decides, he just hesitates about that, and he ends up not winning. So he has to resign himself to the fact he's got to deal with the Daleks fully at a later date. Up until then, all he can do is slow them down and try to help the fight against them. And it's in Remembrance of the Daleks that I think he finally resigned. He finally has his idea of how he's going to finally beat them.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd say it's a bit like Batman and Joker. Sort of the Batman keeps letting the Joker go, and at some point he has to face the fact that you keep letting this madman go and killing people. So it's sort of that dynamic.
A little bit, yeah. It's like he knows that the Daleks and evils like that are always going to be around, and they can't be defeated utterly ever, unless he does something specific to make it. Unless he has a master plan in mind, and that's going to take a long game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I suppose in a way, it's like he's not a conventional hero. His methods aren't conventional, or that of a conventional hero, and I feel like that works. It's like you're intrigued by what he's going to do, how he's going to solve this problem, because if he's not going to do it the way most heroes would, and I think maybe what the person who wrote this article maybe feels like the Doctor's become a predictable action hero who does the predictable heroic. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like in New Who it's mitigated by the fact he did lose his world, and it's like everything he does after that is, I want to save as many lives as I can because of all the loss I experienced, and
yes,
I'm going to save your Earth because I know what it's like to lose my own world, kind of thing.
Yeah, or even in the waters of Mars, right? Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
Because I've always, like, it's going to sound a bit sad because he's not real, but like the thing that's always impressed me about the Doctor is that a lot of people, after losing the whole planet, probably would have gone into themselves and been turned into the more horrible aspect of themselves. But the Doctor became selfless.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Doctor became a protector.
Yeah.
So out of all that pain and suffering, he decided, I'm going to be a guardian of a planet that I don't have to guard. I have no actual links to, except from the companions, possibly.
Yeah.
And they don't even know I do it, and they don't even thank me for it, and I just do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I love that bit with Martha when she's telling everybody the tale of the Doctor, and she basically says, "Oh, he never asked for help, so he never asked for a thank you. He just does it and goes."
Yeah.
True.
I mean, do you feel like in a way it's also that's his therapy almost?
In a way. Not getting praise. Yeah.
No. I mean, like his saving Earth is his way of working through his issues in a way. Like it's almost a therapeutic exercise for him.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I think you could definitely say that with Tennant's Doctor. You can see a lot of that in 10.
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think obviously you can see that in Peter by the end of his run as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's something we haven't seen with Jodie, isn't it?
I'm such an old fart. I remember the Fraser Hines episodes, Matthew Pounder. That's a good one.
Yeah. It's like with Jodie. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say because Crystal has never put her in a situation where she could lose as well, which does my head in.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Doctor needs to be needs to have some moments when he doesn't win.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There needs to be those losses because then he fights harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's like she does these things and nobody challenges her. Like her companions are doormats. They never say anything like to challenge her or to say, actually, no, we don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Like that's why I love Donna, because she would call the Doctor out.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
That's why the rumours are true, and Jack's more of a presence. If he's got any brain cells, that's what he'll have Jack doing.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But do you think the problem is almost like Chibnall's in love with his idea of the Doctor, and he's in love with Jodie so much that he just won't have anyone criticize her?
No, I think he's scared of showing a female to be weak.
Yeah, that's probably it as well.
Because let's think about it. Like, there's certain rules now in media you cannot do when it comes to female characters.
Oh, yeah. It's odd, really. You'd think, like, push for equality would mean opening up the rules of what you can do with a female character, rather than closing them off. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, why? Think about it. She's had 2 series, and she's done so many stupid things nobody said out to her.
I know.
Like nobody's gone. You've got those people killed, right? Yeah. You've just murdered those people, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like we all joked that she had like how many humans were survived through the cyber war, and she got the rest of them killed off.
You see, I haven't seen this one. I've only heard the rabbi go on about it. I know the rabbi says that's a big stickling point for him, but you'll have to tell me what happened.
I was gonna say I'd stopped by that point.
Oh, okay, all right. So you're like me then.
Yeah, but like I said, I watched enough reviews of people like, yeah, I think there's about 6 or 7 humans left on Earth because of the cyber war.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And she got like 2/3 of them killed.
Wow. That's worse than Davison.
Yeah. And nobody was like, but no, here's the obvious one. Jack has a cameo to say, "Do not let the lone Cybermen have the Siberium."
Yeah.
So what's the Siberium? Is it a vault of Dome and Cybermen or something?
Honestly, I don't have a clue. It was this glowy thing that just appeared and we got told it was important.
Oh, right, okay.
And so Jack, he's it was a blatant cameo. He literally came back to say, "Hiya, don't let her do this."
Right.
Yeah.
And what does she do the next episode? Oh, here you go. Here's the Siberium.
Yeah. Oh, Dave, I'm getting a lot of background noise from you. Can you
No,
right.
I need to think that the Doctor is he's sort of defined by his faults, I think, a lot of the time. So the fact that she doesn't have any is why I think she's so bland.
Chin balls.
So, sorry, say that again.
I think that the Doctor is defined by their faults a lot of the time. And the fact that she's not allowed, like, she doesn't have any, even though to us it's obvious.
Yeah.
But she never.
Sorry, go on.
But they never get brought up. She never reflects on them.
Do you feel like she's almost written as an automaton? So it's almost like the faults are supposed to be part of the. Well, there's nothing you can really do with the faults because she's kind of set in stone that way almost. And the show is set in stone in a way that reveres her for them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's just a female Doctor should have had so many open doors for them.
Yeah.
Why? You all right, Dave?
Yeah, Dave, you're making. Oh, that's a lot of noise. What's going on?
I'm okay, I think. Yeah, I think I'm okay.
All right, okay.
I think we should probably try and change topic. I think.
Maybe, yeah. Sounds like yeah. Okay.
We must be positive and say what we would do.
Yeah, because that was the other part of it. So
yeah.
Oh
yes.
Who wants to go first?
You guys can go first. I'll go first.
Okay. Right.
Here's my question though: would this be after Jodie's run, or are we acting like Jodie's run didn't happen?
That's a good question. We could do both, maybe.
Yeah, if you want.
Okay, so if let's do the first one first, which is if Jodie's run hadn't happened, what would we do?
Ooh. Go ahead.
Charlotte?
No, Charlotte.
Oh, hello. Is it? Yeah. I'm trying to think. So if Pete, because I do think you have to think about what the Doctor was like at the end of the run previous to sort of build a bit. So I'm trying to think. Peter near the end was. Yeah. I think you could sort of build off that sort of reluctance maybe, and because I said I would probably structure mine then around the fact that he was really considering not regenerating, and sort of have that be what you build off for the next Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could almost have a doctor then that I'm trying to think of a way to. No, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, take your time. No worries.
Oh, Daniel Leach says David is beating up Chibnall.
Wouldn't we all like to do that?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because I was thinking Chris Chibnall into my head, and it just got me riled up. Yeah.
The doctor would never approve, you know.
No, he wouldn't. No violence.
Yeah.
Okay, can I come to what I do with Jodie's intact? Because I actually got an idea for that, and then come back to.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I've got an idea too. So go on.
Right. I think you could have a doctor that, because of Jodie's actions of breaking the code of never cruel, never cowardly.
Yeah.
So I think you could have a doctor that they've sort of played with this idea, but they've not run with it, of a doctor basically giving up the title.
Right.
Because of how badly Jodie acted.
Right.
So the doctor, because I sort of had this image of the opening of this run could be like the companion character, like coming across and abandoned, the TARDIS being abandoned, being sort of like put somewhere hidden, and sort of put out of shame somewhere where, and you sort of have this, it's overgrown a bit, it's sort of left to be a bit like unkept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you'd open with the companion finding that. And for like half the run, you wouldn't even see the doctor. And it would just be the companion sort of finding this weird box, trying to work out what it is, maybe doing a bit of research like Rose did in her first episode. And trying to piece together, like, why is this old police box been left, like in some woods or something?
Yeah.
And then halfway through the episode, you would start to hear the threat of the aliens come in.
Right.
At this point, you've still not seen the doctor.
No.
And you're still with this companion character, and then they start to see of some sort of invasion or some sort of attack.
Yeah.
And then the companion just happens to run into this odd-looking young man. And the young man's like acting almost, and this young man is very scared.
Yeah.
He's very unsure. And he's sort of very nervous, and you have this energy of he doesn't really know what it's like to be around people. And you sort of have those tics, and throughout the rest of the episode, you sort of have the companion and this person who she knows as John Smith.
All right.
Sort of together, piecing together what the alien threat is. And then right near the end of the episode, the doctor basically does the "I'm the doctor, get off the planet" moment. But that's not until like literally the last 10 minutes.
That's good. That I like.
Yeah,
that.
I do too.
So the companion turns around and she's like, "I'm sorry, you said you were John Smith. What do you mean you're the doctor?"
Yeah.
And he sort of goes, "Oh, that was a name I used to have, but now I'm John Smith."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she says, "Oh, okay." And then she sort of says, "I found this old weird box." And he doesn't, and you can see this sort of, he has a reaction, but he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
And he sort of goes, "Oh, do you want to show me? Because that sounds really weird." So she sort of takes him to the box.
Yeah.
And then it starts to sort of make a noise, which it hadn't done before. And then she clicks that it's reacted to him.
Yeah.
And then she sort of says, "This is something to do with you, and you're using different names, and those aliens reacted to you."
Yeah.
And then she goes, "I want you," because the companion has basically done a lot of the legwork, found him and helped him discover discover what the threat was and all that. He basically goes, as a reward, "I'll take you in that box for one trip.
Yeah.
But then I'm taking you back here, and it's staying in the woods. It's not going anywhere else." So the rest of the series is the companion making the doctor want to be the doctor again.
Oh, that'd be really good. That.
And you could almost have a really Earth-based sort of series as well with this.
Oh, so it'd be almost like with Pertwee, with like him basically being on Earth, kind of most of the half the time or something.
Yeah, basically he sort of says, "I'll give you one trip as a reward because you helped me defeat that alien."
Nice.
And then they do one trip, and then he sort of, you can see there's a bit of light in his eyes, but he's still the TARDIS is going back in the woods, and I'm not using it again.
Okay, cool.
Matthew Pounder.
So then he does a few things on Earth for a couple of episodes.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you can see each episode, there's a bit more vigor, there's a bit more of the old Doctor.
Yeah.
Until you get to a point where basically at the end of the series, he wants to go travelling galactically again with the TARDIS.
Actually, he brings him to life almost, kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
Matthew Pounder says Charlotte needs to be the next showrunner.
Yeah.
No, but that would be how I'd do a series, as like my opening series.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe it is true that at some point we're gonna, like, there are a lot of fans who feel this way, and their reaction is to say, let's get creative about what we could do next.
Yes.
And maybe those fans are going to be the next generation of, the next generation's RTD or Moffat, possibly.
Yes.
So, what was I going to say now? Oh yeah. Is that the story?
That would be like the series, and that's what I've come up with so far.
Awesome.
That's really a good start. It's a I feel like you can build a lot on that, and out of the wreckage almost.
Yes.
Yeah, like a Doctor in shame, but fully go with that idea.
Yeah. Hmm. Like, shall I go into my idea?
Yes.
Well, first of all, in terms of the timeless children idea, I think one possible fix I could do is maybe, because am I right that this child fell from a parallel universe or something?
Fell from a dimension hole. We don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, see, I've had this mad idea. What if the Doctor is actually... What if that was an alternative Doctor who at some point regresses and... Because, that the Doctor, each time he regenerates, his age fluctuates. He's an old man, then he becomes a younger man, then he becomes a really young man, then he becomes old and young.
Yeah.
Would it be possible for the Doctor to regenerate into a child? And maybe...
I think that's part of canon. I think that can happen.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. I think there's even a version of the trial. There is a backstory to the Valeyard in one of the Big Finish audios, which says that's what happened. That the Doctor regenerates into a child or something that becomes this dumping ground for children or something, and that became the Valeyard later somehow. But I was thinking, what if the Doctor is destined to become that child, skip a universe, and become the Doctor of that universe, or even become the foundation of Gallifrey. So it's almost like maybe the first Doctor is still the first Doctor,
right?
And he didn't. When the Master says the child was you, it could mean maybe not necessarily that William Hartnell was once that child, but maybe William Hartnell has an affinity with that child because it's an alternative version of him. And in a way, it's almost like he was born on Gallifrey, but he becomes the foundation of the. But he's destined to skip a universe and become the foundation of the Time Lord in that universe, and in a cyclical thing.
But it doesn't affect Omega and Rassilon, right?
Exactly, and it means the Doctor's still from Gallifrey. In a way, he got the powers of regeneration from his future self, but he still came from Gallifrey. Yeah, and the reason, like the famous scene in Brain of Morbius, where he's mind dueling with Morbius, and he regresses back to those past incarnations. Maybe they're not past incarnations. Maybe they are future incarnations.
Yes.
And that's what the Dark Time Lords are destined to do. They're destined to keep on giving the Doctor more lives, and that's why the Doctor has all these future lives.
Yes, I love that. Yes.
So it's maybe a little bit of a fix. It's the beginning of a fix, maybe.
Right.
And the fact it's a parallel universe means it's not necessarily destined to happen to this Doctor. So maybe the Doctor's future isn't set.
Right. Yes.
Because I was also thinking maybe about the idea, what if the Doctor's an Ouroboros being? like he's a circular being where he's destined to do that and then go back on himself. So it's almost like there is no beginning and end to the Doctor. And maybe the reason why they've had to erase his memory is because he is to raise his knowledge of what he's been or going to do.
Right.
It sounds mad, I know, but
no, I do think. I remember when obviously it dropped and everybody was saying, "Oh, parallel universe, that'll be what it is," and it actually, I think that actually would have been a really good thing for them to have done because we've not really had, like, obviously with Russell, he did that's how he brought the Cyberman back. But I can't think of any other time they've sort of done the parallel universe thing.
No.
And it's a really good thing just to do crazy stuff, and you can just sort of put it in a place and it doesn't affect everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could just go crazy, just say, yeah, it's fine, it's parallel universe, it doesn't affect like the main timeline, and it gives you, I think, a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then he came out and was like, no, she's not, and it was just like, oh god. He gave you a ticket out jail card, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so what's yours, David? Sorry, have you still?
Oh, I've got another idea that's going to be less popular.
Okay, go ahead.
Davison wakes up still trapped in Castrovalva and realizes that everything he thought he'd experienced since then was an illusion created by the Master.
Oh.
And he has to kind of come out of Castrovalva, and he finds that since he slept, the universe has gone to absolute pot without him. And yeah.
That sounds good.
And there's this crazy woman saying she's him. It's like, nah.
Yes.
Oh, no. It's more that he only dreamed he was those other versions of the Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so a very, very, very bad dream for like how long?
Since 1982.
That's one hell of a dream.
That's
well, I mean, it'd be a kind of illusion created by the Master, because in the story Castrovalva, the Doctor is trapped in this illusionary world where the Master tries to trap him.
Yeah.
Now he escapes at the end, canonically escaped at the end, and then everything follows. But I thought, what if he only thought he escaped at the end, and really he's still trapped in Castrovalva?
Yeah, so that means that all that stuff that happened, right, Adric, that didn't happen either then yet, right?
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. That's creative.
It's probably the maddest idea. It's probably, I think most fans would probably rather accept my other idea. But, that idea is a bit spiteful, I think. But this one maybe can work. It's almost a halfway house between Chibnall's idea and what the fans want.
Right, yes.
So what's the next one we do?
David, what would you do?
Sorry. I forgot David. David's one.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe possibly continuing. I was thinking of maybe, well, there was that whole joke about how, like, having, like, kind of similar to how you were saying about, like, the whole Castrovalva thing, but somebody was thinking about having it be like Capaldi, like, be in the shower or something, and it's all like a bad dream. Somebody talked about that. Yeah. Bobby Ewing kind of Dallas moment, somebody was saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably, I mean, I would just make it fun and not have the preaching, obviously. And, do different types of stories, science fiction, historical, futuristic, anything, a mix in each season.
Right.
But no preaching and all that stuff. No.
Right. There's a few comments in the chat about it. Earlier, Daniel Leach said, what I would do if I was showrunner is I'd retcon the Timeless Abomination and refuse to insert woke garbage. And Matthew Pound is in agreement. Daniel also said the cutoff point is the Dr. Falls. Yeah. So Matthew Pound also says Joseph Lidster's Doctor Origin in Big Finish's audio story Master was better than The Timeless Children. I've heard Master, and I know what he means, and it was definitely a better one.
And then I don't know.
Anything is better than Timeless Children.
Sorry.
Anything is, well, except maybe Warriors of the Deep, but yeah. Okay. I've not actually seen The Timeless Children. That's the thing. I avoided it. I knew what was coming and I ducked out completely. And then I still feel like it's taken a wrecking ball to canon. But
Yeah.
I'm also thinking at the moment, like a lot of fans have just said, we don't accept it. So it's almost like it doesn't matter almost.
Yeah, it's. I think Rabbi sort of said this. It's sort of decanonized itself because of just the reaction,
Yeah.
and it's like, and you said before, like it's made fans literally write their own stuff, like the Beware stuff. That he literally is doing this because he's so fed up of the current run. He's just gone. Do you know what? I'm gonna write my own.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like there's a particular line by Roger Ebert, or is it Siskel and Ebert? Like one of them says, the best way to criticize a bad film is to write a better film.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's what's going to happen. I think fans are just going to, because let's be honest, Doctor Who fans are very passionate. They're very sort of, if they love the show, they absolutely adore the show types of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people are just either going to say like, this is my cut-off point,
Yeah.
or they'll have their own little fix and just wait.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing though, if we struggle to like what we do as like full-on showrunner, how about if we say, what if you could create a Doctor from scratch? How would you do a Doctor? That's a bit easier.
Ah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess the most obvious way would be to I like how Beware's doing it. Maybe probably they won't get rid of Jodie completely, though, will they? That'll always be part of it, unfortunately.
See, here's the thing. Like up until The Timeless Children, my position was, look, Jodie does have a few fans, and it's like I didn't like the idea. Like I didn't really like the idea of taking her away from them. So I thought,
okay,
I'd have liked to see if she would have done better under a new showrunner first. I'll admit it. I'm not the biggest fan of the female Doctor idea, but I thought, well, she's happened now. Let's see if we can get a good run from her so that she goes out well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't want to just get rid of her because then I feel like I'm taking her away from the fans she does have, if you know what I mean. Right. But now after The Timeless Children, I feel like, look, it's the entire era is tainted. You just a clean slate is what's needed. Just new broom, get rid of the old. And it's I feel sad for saying that. I feel I hate to say that, but that's kind of what it takes, I think.
Yeah.
My gut is what I think they might do. Oh, sorry, because I agree. They're never gonna not because of the fact that she's female Doctor. She's here. Yeah. They're never gonna. But I've got a feeling they might just sort of, because I think they're doing it already. They're sort of just slowly not promoting it as much and sort of slowly walking away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they'll just put the next series out. It will hardly get any viewing figures, and they'll just be like, right, next Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think they'll just do the sort of thing of, it's technically happened, but but we're not going to incorporate it. If that makes sense.
So you mean like in a way the successive era is going to it's going to be officially a follow-on, but it's like, let's just not talk about what happened before. Let's pretend what happened before didn't happen almost.
Yeah, a bit like the whole half-human thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
How that never really got taken away. It sort of stayed where it was, but the fans just went, no, we don't really accept that, and he's Gallifreyan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have... Because, let's be honest, it's going to... That's why I think next series is going to be so dull, because it's just going to have to be explaining some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, do we want a load of canon-based stories? No, we want adventure. We want the Doctor having fun and fighting Daleks, and we want that.
I think what we want is like what RTD was quite good at, which was he put in a little line that explained it to a point, but he kind of intrigued you to know more. Like, for instance, when the Doctor is first explaining what the Daleks are, and he says they were genetically engineered by a genius, and then he talks about there was this time war. It's like you don't see that. Like, that's just a small scene where it's all explained, but that little bit intrigues you, can make you envision a lot. and that's kind of it's not a diatribe about what happened. It's just a hint of what happened, and it gets you thinking, gets you imagining it. If you know what I mean.
it's less is more at the end of the day, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah.
And I've like, because think about like Chris, like
Yeah.
think about his introduction. It wasn't a speech. It was literally him grabbing Rose's hand and saying "run."
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like that was the genius of Russell. He understood I can't introduce the Doctor by having him stand there and give a speech.
Mm-mm.
He needs to be doing something. It needs to be snappy, and the way Chris just said "run," you were just like, "Oh, I'm with this character now," and you just got carried away with the story.
Yeah.
Can I say this actually about Jodie? I feel like in her first scene, they kind of did that right, because the first thing she does is she leaps into action and like she saves like the passengers on the train.
Mm-hmm.
So like at that point they had it right, and then it's if only then somehow they lost it from there. Would
Yeah.
you agree, Charlotte?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the difference with Russell to any other showrunner is he's so good at doing pace where it doesn't feel like it's going too fast.
Right.
But there's enough going on to keep you interested.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And but also like in a Russell episode you'd have those pacey bits and the action bits, but then it would slow down and you'd get a character moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Like he was so good at doing multiple things in an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas with the current run, it's just like it's very like plodding and slow, and like he can't. It's like
you mean like
I'm trying to think.
Like, sorry, go on.
I'm trying to like actions and very snappy little bits of dialogue. I think are so much more better than having literally loads of exposition, and that's what Chibnall does.
Yeah. So it's like at first he was kind of imitating the style of Russell, the action, but not the perfect balance of how to meld the two together in the right way.
Yeah, because if you think about Chris in Dalek, because I remember that was the episode I clicked with Chris properly. Because I didn't dislike him, I was intrigued, but that was the episode where I was like, oh, now I'm clicking with this character.
Yeah.
And that was because there was so much shorthand, you could say, for him reacting to that Dalek and the history of the Time War.
Yes.
Like, if you think about Dalek, you didn't really hear anything about the Time War in that episode.
No.
Not actual, like, facts and how it happened and all the logistics of it.
No.
You just heard little bits from Chris.
Yes.
And you just saw the anger on his face.
Like, you felt almost like that little fight between the Doctor and the Dalek was almost a microcosm for the whole thing. The whole war, almost.
Yeah, and I think deliberately they sort of were saying, look at the parallels now between the Dalek and the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, I think that was such a great introduction because it was almost saying that just because the Doctor looks human doesn't mean he isn't necessarily as alien as the monsters he faces.
Right.
You can look human and still be monstrous.
True.
You know what I mean? So it's almost like I think that was probably that was a brilliant way of showing that.
Yes.
You know, that kind of ethos of the show of look, you can't. Sometimes humans can be the biggest monsters of all, and sometimes the Doctor is as alien as anything he faces.
Right. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I saw it as the Doctor has this sort of, especially Chris's Doctor, has this caged animal.
Yeah.
And he has to be very careful because if that's left off the leash, or if it's left to sort of do what it wants, he's just as dangerous as any. Like what you're saying, a bit like he's just as dangerous as anything he's faced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the point of the companions is to keep that in check.
Yeah.
to sort of be, because I think that with the Doctor, he's been around for so long, and this is after Chris.
Yeah.
Where when you live for 1,000 years as the Doctor has, your morals sort of become flexible and a little bit messed up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, because he's seen so much death or destruction, or he's had to make so many hard choices, it's sort of, he doesn't understand that doing certain actions are just as bad. Whereas he needs somebody, a companion who's innocent, who hasn't had to make so much sort of horrible life choices, to say, you do realise you're doing something really messed up here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you feel like it's almost like what Rose did there? Was she kind of, if he had done that, he would just have gone down. Like, it would have been bad for his spirit. It would have been bad for his mental state for him to carry on just pursuing this line of revenge, and just nothing else. He'd have nothing else. Almost, it'd just be, it's almost like the guilt would come to haunt him later, if you know what I mean. If he did that, and she kind of pulled him back from that because she almost said, "Look, there's a better way of living your life as well as, if you know what I mean."
Well, yeah, she had the line, didn't she, of "Look what you've become."
Yeah.
And that was her basically saying, "You're condemning this Dalek, but look, you're the one with the gun right now." Sort of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So who's the real villain here?
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that's when the Doctor is seen as this sort of morally grey character.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what that scene was about to me. It was a brilliant example of it.
Yes.
It's like I didn't like the episode, but I loved the moment in Mercy with Matt, where he absolutely loses his rag.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
The alien over the town line.
Yeah.
And he does that whole thing about, my mercy has killed so many people, so I'm finally going to do something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Amy sort of has to look at him and say, you've not had a companion, have you, for a while?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look at what it's turned you into. Like, there always needs to be those moments of a Doctor.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's you get a static Doctor. You get a Doctor that doesn't change and is static.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Yeah, I like Daniel's comment.
Yeah, the 14th Doctor will be a male, and his first words will be "never again."
That's a good one.
Oh, we can wish.
Oh, I love Matthew Pounder's comment. Mine would be Capaldi chopped his finger off and it regenerated into Jodie.
Jodie, yes, I like that one too. Yes.
Yeah, but then here's the thing: that would mean she'd have like a tiny bit of talent if she came off Peter, if she was even just Peter's finger.
Maybe it was his left-handed finger. Maybe he was kind of, his useless finger.
Oh, maybe it's like a bit of hair or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the fans are probably always going to come up with something better, because we all geek over the Doctor as a character, don't we? And we all sort of think about what he means to us, and what we like and what we don't like. So we all sort of, probably too much at times, analyze the Doctor as a character.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just such a complex character that if you get it wrong, it's so obvious.
Yes.
Because we were saying that in the chat before, weren't we, Charlotte? About like maybe Jodie might have been a good companion because she might have been quite a feisty companion.
Mm-hmm.
But if I think she actually would have been a really good companion.
Yeah.
Right.
But because she's the Doctor, she's kind of having to be that and the wise Doctor and the speech maker and the wacky Matt Smith imitation. So it's almost like she's having to do too much at once, and it's a mess of a character, really. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, and because it's sort of been said, hasn't it, a few times, the Doctor wears a mask.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the sort of, each Doctor has a definitive mask.
Yes.
Like, with Chris, you could say it was the sort of offishness and the coldness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With David, it was the sort of cheeky, chappy, sort of
Yeah.
flirty type of personality.
Yeah.
With Matt, it was the goofy kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that fits. Yes.
The sort of maybe teenager who's a bit goofy sort of type.
Yeah.
And probably with Peter, like I said, there were similarities to Chris, but I'd say he was different to Chris. But I'm trying to think what I would turn it as.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you say would be his mask?
Probably cold indifference. I think he almost became lost in his whole own psyche, almost, didn't he?
Yes.
Like he started to pontificate about perfect hiding, and he gets this illusion that like there's these creatures hiding from him. Like he becomes quite. I think it's like he said in A Town Called Mercy, when the Doctor's not with a companion for a while, he starts to lose it a bit, and I think that is him beginning to lose it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
So maybe you'd say Chris was indifferent, but Peter was more sort of too much in his own psyche then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like with Jodie, it's like what's hers? Like being a buffoon? Like I don't.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I mean,
But
at first I thought she was like Tennant Mark II, and it was the same thing of she had the same kind of energy to try and act to save quickly. Like that's how she came across in a first episode, and it's kind of how she came across in Resolution, and then but then like in the rest of her run, she kind of just I just feel like she had that and then she lost it, and it's like no, it's just I think the problem is once we got to Arachnids in the UK, it's like it became clear the makers didn't even know what they were doing or what they were trying to say, and she became an avatar of that.
Yes.
So it's like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think the Doctor at the end of the day should be the centre point of this show, and that's what was doing my head in with the Clara stuff, because she was taking over. Remember, that was my feeling with the Clara stuff.
Yeah.
And we've gone back to the Doctor not being the centre point now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's why I like Three Companions. Why?
I feel like. Sorry.
I was going to say, like, you had Classic and the whole Fifth Doctor syndrome with Three Companions to be like a massive example of how not to do this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think it's almost like Chibnall's determined to do all the worst aspects of the Fifth Doctor era again.
Mm.
Yeah, but at least Peter had a steeliness about him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
That's true.
Yeah. There's another thing. I was going to say something then. Oh, yeah. In terms of her not being the center of the show, do you think maybe it's almost like The Timeless Children was almost a horribly botched attempt to rectify that by giving her a big revelation moment about who she really is?
Yeah, but then they didn't. But then in that scene, they have the revelation, and she turns around and says, "Well, I'm still the same person."
Yeah.
So it's not even impacted her.
No. Okay.
Because here's the thing: like her era is not going to be remembered for her. It's going to be remembered for the retcon.
Yes.
I know.
In a couple of years, people are going to go, "What was she actually like?" I can't remember, but I remember the cannon got chewed out.
Yes. Indeed. Very true.
Yeah.
So I almost feel a little bit sorry for her in that regard.
Yeah, I do a little bit. I feel like, she was just. I definitely do. I mean, it's like, I definitely do. Like she's, I think, I mean, it's like she's quite. I think you said this one, Charlotte, that she's quite naturally shy, and she's been given the biggest limelight ever.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest limelight currently going in terms of this show, and it's like she probably thought it was going to work out, but she wasn't prepared. I feel like she's kind of maybe started to a little bit get the essence of the character she's playing, but it's too late, kind of thing.
Yes.
She had a bad start, and it's set her back, and it's now she can never really recover that because the writing's just not going to let her.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but because it's like, I think a lot of people were like, I'll give her a series.
Yeah.
Like, even though before it's literally taken 2 or 3 episodes, people are like, I'll give her a series.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of series 11, it was just like, I can't be bothered to come back. And I did for as much as I could, and then I was just like, do you know why I stopped, honestly? Because I was like, the more I watch this, the more angry and just I'm going to hate this.
Yeah.
And life's too short. I just don't want to be angry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'll just listen to what other people are saying, and like I said, now and again come up with my own little ideas.
Yes.
So did you not watch much of series 12 then?
I got to Orphan, and then I just was like, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah, Orphan was the last one for me too. I just kind of, God, that was a nightmare. It left me with a kind of a vivid apocalyptic nightmare vision, but not in the way the writers meant, I don't think. Oh, God. Jodie's bogies have more talent than her.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think it's going to be very interesting what they do after her.
Mm. Yeah.
Just which direction they go.
Yeah.
Because do you guys think it's going to be female or male? Because I think they could be male just to try and get some fans back.
Good question.
I think it might be male, but an ethnic male, which
Yes. Yeah.
I'd be fine with in most circumstances, but I feel like it's hard now not to see it as an agenda moment. And that's what bothers me. It's like I don't want to see it that way.
Mm-mm.
I want to be able to just say, yeah, it's okay. The Doctor's this great new actor, and I just don't like the fact that I immediately see an agenda in it. But now I do. It's hard to escape.
Yes.
It's hard to miss.
See, I'm one of these types that if the actor does a really good performance, I can see past that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because at least my viewpoint is, yeah, you've probably had a bit of tick boxing, but at least they've picked an actually really talented tick box.
That's true. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, at least it's somebody who, probably there was a bit of an agenda, but they've actually auditioned them and they've actually shown that they understand this character and can bring an interesting angle to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think I think I would love to have a sort of Tinkerer Doctor next. That's something I would love to see.
Who?
Like a proper inventor Tinkerer type.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think New Who's done that, really.
No. You mean a bit like the Doc Brown or something? From Back to the Future.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe not a sort of mad scientist, but somebody who it's sort of been hinted he likes to like play around and invent things and sort of has the scientific knowledge to fully lean into that for like a proper incarnation of it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That'd be good.
We're like, I think the closest we probably got was Pertwee Classic for that sort of proper scientist. But here's the thing: if I didn't mind the idea of Jodie making her Sonic, I actually thought that was a good idea in premise.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
But then we got that Sonic. I was like, that actually was a good idea, but oh my God, what have you designed?
Yeah, 3 settings. Well, see, I think for me, what the one bright spark of that, with her making the Sonic, was the first thing she did. She tested out, like she says, Sonic's built. She presses it, and then like the light flashes on it, and it goes out. And I thought, so this Sonic might cut out at a crucial moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it means
I still want that to happen.
Exactly, yeah, and that's what I was thinking. This is going to maybe this is exactly the kind of challenge Jodie needs, where she's going to be in a situation, it's going to conk out on her, and she's going to have to use her wits to try and overcome something. that was the hope at the time, and it just didn't happen, did it?
Daniel will tell you my bugbear. I want a Sonic that either is faulty
Yeah.
or that is just rubbish, so the Doctor doesn't have to use it all the time.
Matthew, the Sonic dildo.
Yeah.
No, because that's what David, I really liked in Beware's actual first episode. Like, it's hardly used in his, isn't it?
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
like used in like one moment, and then I won't say it because obviously I know you want to listen to it at some point, Stoku. But the way he solves it, it's nothing to do with the Sonic.
All right. And this is a really long one, isn't it? Long pilot.
Yeah, it is quite long.
I probably have to put it on while I'm doing the dishes or we're in the bath or something. But I will definitely give it a listen because I do want to. Like, if it's good, I'll definitely. I'm sure it's good. You said it's good, so. But I want to give it a listen, and so Daniel Leach says the next series will be called "The Stunning and Brave Adventures of Dr. Karen and Yaz the Plank."
Yeah.
Charlotte, you remember when we did Blue Bonnet stream, don't you? When Bonnet actually was in cosplay as.
Oh,
as
that
Toby.
was nightmare fuel.
And then she brought this piece of wood and said, "I brought Yaz with me." Isn't she beautiful?
Oh, no, but here's the thing that actually boggles my mind. Like, Chibnall wrote Torchwood, and Gwen was a really good character. Like, how have you mucked up Yaz so much? Like, Gwen was a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that was how she ran into Jack and all the craziness because she was on the job one night, and I was like, so you've done this once really well. Because I really love Gwen.
I don't know. It's almost like a thing like maybe because RTD was overseeing him and RTD kind of gave the premise of Gwen. I don't know. It's like maybe there was just enough people around Chibnall to force him to do it well. Or kind of added to his deficiencies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he basically had a babysitter, is what you're saying.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, he had somebody to go, okay, Christy, we'll look at this script. we'll just put some fixes in, okay?
Yes.
Because, but to be fair, didn't Russell do that a lot with scripts? I've heard, like, not even just the bad ones. He'd like to look over them all and give them a bit of a once over.
Yeah.
I think the only ones he didn't edit were Moffat's, or he interfered very little with Moffat's, but
yeah, because Moffat would probably have a hissy fit if he did.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe.
I think Russell just looked at Moffat's script and thought, Moffat gets it. This is what I'm going for. I'm going for new and populist and humor and fun. And I think he felt like he wasn't dealing with he wasn't trying to remold the show. He didn't feel like he had to remold the show with him, if you know what I mean. He felt like they were on the same page so much that he could leave Moffat to it.
Yeah, and I think that's what we just need fun, don't we, back in the show?
Yeah.
Like, if you want a simple way to put it, I think we just need fun.
Yeah.
Because it should be escapism.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should be able just to sort of turn off and go, oh, here's a silly adventure with green aliens that fart. Like, that's Russell. Nobody else would do that.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't so keen on the farting aliens, but
but you can get my drift.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Like, Russell could be very serious, but then he would just do an alien that you were like, this is just him having a laugh.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell he probably had this idea, went to the people who had to make it, and was like smirking the whole time.
Indeed, yeah.
Oh, Matthew said Jodie's acting was good in Twin Peaks. She played the log lady's log.
Yeah.
No, it's like I said, it will be. I do think it would be intriguing what they do as the next era. I do think it's going to be intriguing just how they play it.
Yeah.
because it's like we've said, like you could. It's like we've tried to throw ideas, so you're gonna have to be, I think, creative, and you're gonna have to do something very different.
Yes.
Just to even get people to look at it without. I'm not saying people would go back, but just even to get eyes on it again.
Yes.
It's going to be uphill work, isn't it? It's like they're going to have to be twice as good as, well, 10 times as good as they were in order to get people to even give it half a chance, because so much goodwill's been lost. I mean, I remember saying this, whenever Nolan Rabbi have pointed out that the toys have stayed on the shelf because no one's interested in getting Jodie's toys. I've always wondered, well, that's odd, because even if she's getting bad episodes, you'd think kids would want to kind of imagine their own episodes with the toys.
Right.
But they don't seem to be interested.
Yeah, because Chibnall can't create good monsters.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like he's now just nicking Russell's.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah.
Oh, do you remember the Jadoon? I haven't thought of them for about 10 years, but yeah. They were like a one-off thing in Tennant's Run.
Yes, they were.
Like a very creative alien, but nobody was like hankering for a Jadoon episode.
No. But I think maybe people just thought it would be what it kind of make the show feel like the same old Doctor Who it's been, because the Jadoon have made cameos since. They've appeared a little bit in The Stolen Earth and a little bit in A Good Man Goes to War. There's a few Jadoon appear in that. There's a Sarah Jane episode where there's a Jadoon in that. Like, they have to babysit this stranded Jadoon, and it's quite funny that. So again, it's what's called member berries. I think maybe that's what the Jadoon's there for.
Yeah, and it's like, look, it's like putting, like you said, it's sort of the dangling the keys sort of thing, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Indeed.
But then I think we've all sort of come to this point that we just go, oh, we'll just go back and watch classic or new that we love.
Yeah, I'm. That's the position I'm in. I just feel like I don't care about the show's future much. I'm disinterested in the show's future. I don't feel like I have to care about it, and I can just kind of look back on what the show was at its prime. And for me, that's the Five Doctors and before then. And like, I've really enjoyed the watch-alongs. I've really enjoyed revisiting John and Tom's classics. I've loved doing that.
Yeah.
I'd say, David, what's your like prime then for you? What's prime Who for you?
Well, I do love. I know he doesn't. I know Sudhakar, you're not a big fan, but I do like you said, the Davison through the Five Doctors, and I quite like the McCoy later stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I was gonna say, New Who, what's your prime, because that's different for different people.
Yeah, I mean, I liked early New Who, like Eccleston and Tennant, and the Smith stuff. But yeah, I know Blue Bonnet loves Capaldi, but I just, it was hard for me to get into.
Lads, I'm gonna have to bounce. I'm really sorry.
Okay, all right. Well, okay. Well, can't be helped. But thank you very much for coming on. You've really
Thanks so much, Charlotte.
Yeah, you've.
No, like I said, lads, if you ever want me, just one of you bung it in the chat or tell me a messenger, and if it's not too late, I can come.
Okay, all right. Always glad to have you on, Charlotte.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, and keep your chin up, lads.
We will do.
We will.
Right, then I.
Right, good night, Charlotte.
Night, Charlotte. Thanks. All right.
I think we've covered a lot there, haven't we? So maybe perhaps it's a few comments to address. Daniel Leach says RTD was called back in to save. Sorry, down then. RTD was called back in to save Torchwood because Chibs is a muppet. Yeah, he probably was.
Les and Hinchcliffe. Yeah, those are really good eras. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah, that was the prime period, I think.
Yeah.
I think we've covered everything, haven't we? We've covered our endpoint. We've covered our ideas of what we would do. I mean, you didn't. Do you want to elaborate maybe more on your idea, or do you think you've covered it all?
Yeah, I mean, there was other stuff on my mind. I think that's why I didn't really go into too much detail. But yeah, I would just, yeah, kind of just begin with, maybe like she was saying, Charlotte had so more of the scientific side, maybe not necessarily like, maybe not exactly like Back to the Future, but have a little bit more, the scientific aspect that was seen more in Pertwee era.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans would welcome a return to Pertwee, wouldn't they?
Yeah, just maybe it would be cool to have a master kind of like more like the Delgado,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A bit more like suave, sophisticated, but when he gets mad, he turns very dark, and then it's unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we can call it a wrap then, can't we? Do you feel?
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah.
All right. I've enjoyed this one. I have to say, I've really enjoyed this stream. We covered a lot of ground and got very creative.
Yeah, I feel that too. Yeah. Did you want to talk for a few minutes after, just for a couple, and then we'll end it?
Could do a little bit, maybe, if you want.
Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, guys.
Good night, chat. Good night, chat. Well, thank you for tuning in. And,
thanks so much, Charlotte. Thanks so much, Adaku. Thanks, Matthew, Daniel, Disaster Area, and everybody in the chat. Take care. Peace. Bye for now.
Okay. Peace out. Bye.